Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Now That You Mention It podcast with Roll, Jay, and RJ. I'm Roll.
I'm Jay.
And RJ, are you frozen?
Apparently Jarvis took over his body.
Well, apparently it's the Now That You Mention It podcast with Roll and Jay.
And that's RJ down there.
So there's a picture of RJ, our third host.
Yeah.
So anyway, while we're waiting for him to probably log back in, we want to thank you guys again for tuning in. We skipped last week because unfortunately somehow our world became extremely crazy for all three of us and we just could not find the time. So we got a little bit to catch up on. But before we get into the episode, let's first we want to get you to like and subscribe so you get notified every time we do drop another episode, assuming that we get back to a normal schedule. We also want you to check us out on iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and Spotify if you prefer to check out audio formats. You can also check out our Facebook, Reddit, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and of course, and now that you mention it, .org website where we have links to all of this. So we finally are joined by the third member of the podcast who, as
the CIA
Jay
didn't
said,
want to see me.
Well, I think what happened was he got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
First of all, it's Pfizer gang over here.
Damn.
Oh, so you're part of the Pfizer gang?
Yeah.
Is there any team Moderna over here?
I think I got Moderna. I'm pretty sure I got Moderna.
I thought you got Pfizer.
Did I?
He don't even know.
He doesn't even know. He probably got one. He probably got one Pfizer, one Moderna.
Dude, but that makes me twice as effective. I got both.
Hold on, it's funny you say that.
I'm
There's
flexing.
I think it was on TikTok. There was a skit where someone went and got all of them
all three of them.
and pretended they turned into like the Thanos.
Got powers now.
Yeah.
He punches out the doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that. No, I got the Pfizer as well.
Yeah. I've heard, I mean, it's hard to, I'm no vaccine, specialist, but from what I've heard, the Pfizer one is of them is at least the best one so far. I don't know.
Whatever, dude. If you'd have gotten the Moderna vaccine, you'd be over here talking about how great Moderna is and it's way better than Pfizer and F. Johnson & Johnson. So how you boys doing?
Good.
How was
I haven't had a blood clot yet.
We're back from the wonderful
your favorite city in
Houston,
all
Texas.
of the Union.
Back from the wastelands?
Damn.
The dregs of Texas?
Damn.
Did y'all see the big old sign on the side of the Minute Maid Field that said F Jesse?
Yeah, they actually have that up there. They have a banner.
It's FJ.
That says, the problem is they also have me and RJ included in that. So we had to we had to
so we
tell
met with
everybody, just go ahead.
Yeah, but the picture I saw had little smiley faces next to y'all's name and just had a big old red X through my face.
We met with the city of Houston and they've offered to sponsor the podcast.
Yeah.
But
so we know that you got the podcast money, but RJ and I are working a side hustle on it.
Yeah.
So we're trying to, so it may be the Now That You Mention It podcast sponsored by the city of Houston.
Whatever.
And we'll drop a Houston trivia fact each episode.
That's right.
No, but in all seriousness, I don't know. Houston was kind of it was my first time really there. I've passed through before, but never really stopped in Houston before. They've got some bad roads, I'll tell you that.
So you stepped out, you went and immediately whipped in the gas and oil mixed with the seaweed and whatever else floating around over there.
Dude, it is not that bad. But I will agree with RJ. Infrastructure needs a little bit more love in Houston. It felt like You know, like the whole time we were traveling down county roads here in Dallas, or how we get when you get outside of the major city, you got those little
How the
farm
roads
market
used to be in
roads.
Wilmer.
Yeah, like when you're driving, how the car dips like this because
Yeah,
Yes.
you feel like a roller coaster because you're going
yeah,
like this. And
but that's their main highway through the middle of downtown.
damn.
I'll tell you what though, Minute Maid Park being right there in the downtown skyline is I thought that was pretty cool. I don't like the stadium, but it would be cool if AT&T Stadium or Globe Life Field was in downtown Dallas like that.
Blame Laura Miller.
Well, yeah, that's true. I won't disagree with you there.
But enough about the city of Houston, which Houston, we have much love for you. At least these two guys do right here. Me.
Two-thirds of the podcast support you. The other third.
Hey, that's majority vote.
Fall into the Gulf of Mexico.
That's right. Majority vote. That's majority vote. Wait, you know what, RJ? I better go back and look at the contract because he probably put some.
Yeah, he probably put some bullshit. He probably gonna try to slip sheet a page in there too.
Yeah, he probably put in there that you and I only represent 49%. He still has
I have
the controlling interest.
Yeah, he's got voting majority.
Anyways,
so it's been a long week, man. A lot of stuff has happened.
Yeah,
we're going to talk in a little bit about how crypto's going crazy. I see you guys, your name Crypto Tiger over there and Safe Moon Jockey down there.
Buy Safe Moon, baby. Buy Safe
Moon. I think the biggest story in the last week since we've been out was the fact that Prince Philip passed away.
Yeah.
Long-time consort of Queen Elizabeth, who he made it to 99 years, died about a month and a half before his 100th birthday.
Yeah.
And today his funeral was on, which I got up early to watch.
Did you cry?
No, I didn't cry, but it's sad. As many people know about me, I am a noted Anglophile. I'm a big follower of the royal family. But it was, look, I got up early to watch Prince William and Kate Middleton get married. I got up early to watch Prince Harry and Meghan Markle get married. And I got up early this morning to watch the funeral of Philip, which was very subdued just because of COVID protocol over there. But it was good to see, William get back into the fold of the royal family. He was actually there. They had so Prince William planned his own funeral, which is weird enough as it is.
No, a lot of them.
You mean Prince Philip?
Yeah, Prince Philip did. I'm sorry. Planned his own funeral. He designed the vehicle that his coffin was going to be carried in. And then, he had the procession behind him. He chose all the music that was played inside the cathedral there. He chose the sermons that were going to be read by the Archbishop of Canterbury and the Dean of Westminster. He chose the specific passages, and he chose pretty much everything about his own funeral. Which, look, I get it. Some of them do, but
he even chose to attend.
Oh my gosh!
Wow. That's not, dude. That's dude.
My bad.
That's cold-blooded, man.
I'm sorry, Prince Philip. My bad. Rest in peace and stay hard.
Yeah, I mean, and he was, he was an interesting guy. He was very outdoorsman, very rough and rugged. He really wanted Charles to follow in his footsteps, but Charles was more of a gentle soul and not really, the same kind of man that Philip wanted him to be. I think of all his progeny, children, grandchildren, Prince Harry is the one that probably follows more in his footsteps than anybody else. But the procession was followed in order of precedence. It was Charles and Anne were behind him. And then his other two,
the other fringe royals.
Yeah, the other two fringe royals. And then it was William, their oldest male cousin, and Harry, and then some other male cousins that were behind them, younger male cousins, I guess is who they were, following suit. And then the Queen drove behind everybody else in a limousine. And I was watching, and she almost fell this morning because she still
really?
walks. Yeah, she still walks by herself, like nobody helps her. I don't understand that. That why wouldn't somebody escort her out of her limousine to her seat inside the cathedral? She walked by herself. Now, the Archbishop of Canterbury walked beside her when she got to the door, but getting to the door from the limousine to the door, she was walking by herself, and I saw her stumble a little bit, and I'm like, dude, she's 95 years old, 94 years old. Why isn't somebody helping her? But it is what it is. But I mean, it was a pretty quick funeral. It wasn't very long. It wasn't a whole lot of pomp and circumstance. It was the whole thing lasted about an hour, and that was it. It was over.
I didn't watch it.
Well, I know you guys are not as interested in the royal family as I am. I know Roland.
No, but
Roland's interest pretty much falls to the crown,
the Queen. Yeah, the crown.
And that's pretty much.
No, I get it. I mean, there's a segment of. Go ahead.
I got to be honest. There was, when Prince Charles and Princess Diana were an item, before all of the fallout and the the ugliness. I was somewhat intrigued by it because I mean, we don't have that here in this country.
No.
And thank goodness that we don't, because to be quite honest with you, I think if we were under some sort of monarchy, even if it's just a figurehead, if nothing else, boy, Americans sure have no problem lashing out whenever we're of a different opinion. And this country has become so divided. I'd hate to see what would happen if we had someone like a royal family in this country trying to hang on to whatever they have.
Yeah.
But that being said, hold on, I'll finish. But that being said, I did have an appreciation for the fact that we still had some semblance of I guess a monarchy in the modern. Well, I mean, there's other countries that have monarchies, but none of them nearly as visible as the royal family.
Yeah, I mean, and believe it or not, there's probably anywhere from 10 to 12 monarchies still in Europe. Mm-hmm. Spain still has a royal family. Liechtenstein. There's a lot of other places around in Europe that still have royal families, and other other countries around the world. The Brunei, Brunei has their royal family. Saudi Arabia still has a royal family. I mean, there's a lot of royal families still floating around. But like you said, none of them are as prominent as Queen Elizabeth. Right. At one time, the British Empire encompassed, a third of the world. It's the largest empire on record, and the kings and queens of Great Britain have always been over that. And it's funny to think that, I mean, I was sitting there thinking about it the other day. How many presidents have I seen in my lifetime? Mm-hmm. Now, when I was born, Richard Nixon was president of the United States, 1972. So it went Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, mm-hmm. Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump, and now Biden. So 10 presidents in my lifetime. And 4 popes.
3,
Pope John Paul was Pope when I was born. Then Pope Benedict. Mm-hmm. And then now Pope come on, RJ, you should know this, Catholic schoolboy.
He's Argentinian. I know that.
Damn. At any rate, 3 popes in my lifetime.
Yeah.
But there's only been one Queen of England in my entire life.
Uh-huh.
You know, she was there when I was born, and she's still there now.
Right.
You know, she's outlived a lot of them.
Pope Francis.
Pope
Yeah,
Francis.
Pope Francis.
So I mean, it's just crazy to think about how many different, you know, presidents I've gone through in the time that she's been on the throne, and how many different, you know, how popes, again, 3 popes since she's been on the throne. Actually, more popes than that since she's been on the throne.
Yeah,
She's probably outlived 5 popes.
but the problem is, I mean, not the problem. The difference is a president can only serve a maximum of 8 years anyway. So, I mean, with the exception of the first George
FDR.
Bush.
Oh.
What's that? No, I was going to, well, yeah, but what I was going to say in within the context of Jay's life,
Yeah.
you know, Carter, Bush, the first Bush, and of course Trump have only been the only ones that have been single-term presidents. Everybody else has been 2 terms.
Well, Gerald
What?
Ford finishing up a term and got elected to his own term.
Well, yeah,
And then on top of that, with the Pope, I mean, the popes get selected at such an old age, you know. Anyways, so she took over as
Well,
queen.
I don't know, man. According to the papal conclave, they can't get elected after the age of 80. So these guys have to be younger than the age of 80 to get.
Yeah, but I
into
guess
the Pope.
compare that to when she took over as queen. I mean, she took over relatively young, you know.
yeah,
Yeah,
So
she was 25 when she became the queen.
there you go.
She's
Yeah,
95 now.
yeah. No, but yeah, to RJ's point though, it's you know,
You have to like earn. Not that I'm not saying that she didn't. I guess let me make that clear. I'm not saying she didn't earn becoming queen, but what I mean is, like, you have to reach a certain level before you can become pope. There's no way a 25-year-old, I don't think,
Right.
ever can become pope.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I was trying to say. I mean,
Unless-
kudos to her. 70 years as queen. That's a lot of.
Well,
You
and
know,
what
just
you
look at
say-
how, like, for example, you know, when some of the presidents leave office, how gray and much older they look. Think about having to have that stress on your life for 70 years.
Yeah, but it's not the same level of stress.
No, that's true.
It's not
Well,
the same
and some,
level of
I
stress.
think in some parts of her life, when you go back and you look at her reign of queen, the things that she's had to go through, the constitutional crises, you know, having to deal with her sister, to deal with the whole mess of Diana and Charles, along with, you know, little, you know, wars that she's had to fought the Falkland Islands and things like that, and you know, constitutional crises with some of her prime ministers. It is. I think there's a tremendous amount of stress on her, and I think there's even more stress on her in the fact that she's not allowed to voice her opinion on politics. And I think that puts more of a strain on her than most people think that it does. I mean, can you imagine if you had your opinion, bro, and somebody told you, well, you're not allowed to have an opinion, though. You can't voice your opinion publicly. You can say it behind closed doors all you want, but you can never in your lifetime make your opinion public. Do you think you think you'd be able to contain that?
If we're talking politics, I think I could legitimately,
I think so.
because I don't like.
I think I could too. What I
don't
gonna
like
say,
talking
though,
politics, but if I can't give my opinion on sport, you know, I don't know, you know.
And I never said she didn't have stress, and I never said she didn't have significant stress. What I said was I don't think she has more stress than a president.
And
She
I
doesn't.
would agree with that.
I think I
She
would agree.
doesn't have more stress than a president. You know, and that's what I'm saying, that you know, the presidents seem to age faster, because I do think that the amount of stress that they're under is it is far more intense than what the queen is under. Again,
Yeah,
she is under a lot of stress. I agree with you, but because there are a lot of things that she has to, you know, maybe some traditions and stuff that you know, tie her hands behind her back, and you know, she's had to make decisions because of tradition and not because of what's in her heart. I totally get that, but I think at a higher level, the president of the United States is dealing with topics and issues far more stressful than what the queen is.
I give you that. I don't think that's way off the mark.
Have you have you guys heard this theory that, and this kind of goes into our next topic, that Philip died because of he got the vaccine?
No.
Dude, he was 99 years
That's
old.
what I was about to say,
Thank
man.
you, thank you. The anti-vaxxers are all on the internet talking about, see if he hadn't got the vaccine, like as
Oh
if,
my God.
don't get me
No.
wrong, I'm not, I don't mean this
The
in
guy
any form, but they make it sound like he was in peak health or something.
No, the guy was 99. He had heart problems. He wasn't he wasn't the virile young man he was, when the Queen took over.
Exactly.
Dude, a common cold could have taken him out. I mean,
No joke, man.
seriously, at that point,
Hell, he could have sneezed wrong and
That's
might have
right.
blown a blood vessel.
that you're
Yeah,
exactly
no.
right.
Philip didn't die because of the vaccine. If anybody's
No,
any-
I know he didn't. I
who's
was
good-
curious if you guys have
good-
seen
Well,
that
enough
online.
to
At
believe
least
that.
At least the flat earthers didn't come in and say, well, he fell off the edge of the earth and fell into oblivion. That's what really killed him.
So speaking of the vaccine, that's the other big story here in the last week is the Johnson & Johnson vaccine got halted.
Dude, that is crazy. But and this was one of the things that I think, even while we were making the decision whether or not to get the vaccine, was of concern, because there was a rush through this process to get a vaccine or vaccines to come to market, right? And there are certainly anticipated side effects, or in any time a vaccine is created, we have to remember there's no such thing as a 100% efficacy in those vaccines.
Yeah.
Right? There's always going to be some percentage that have a bad reaction to a vaccine. Vaccines or any kind of medications really designed to help more people, right? To help the most people they can. All right. But it has nothing to do with the fact that, I think we have the unrealistic expectation that that it's a cure-all for everybody.
No, I agree with you. And I think, just think about the flu shot, right? Like, you can go get the flu shot and still get the flu because there's just so many variants of it out there at this point. And, I know even with me, I put thought into, whether not that I'm, of course I'm not an anti-vaxxer by any means, but, you do have to kind of think, what are the long-term effects of this? And then obviously, Mom on her part cleared up some of, obviously with her getting it and her feeling comfortable getting it,
Mm-hmm.
that eased me some. But then, I went online and read a little about it, and this is based off they basically used from when SARS came out, was not a threat, but was a concern here, because they're from the same family, SARS and COVID-19. So they basically took a SARS vaccine that they were developing and modified it for COVID-19. So it's not like they necessarily had to start from scratch.
Right.
And I think finding that out helped ease my concerns about, what are the effects of this in 5 to 10 years. But, it's crazy how many false narratives you see online, like, oh, the vaccine can cause women to become sterile, and then you go and do research, and that's not true at all. Right. It's just people want to spread their narrative. So for whatever reason, I don't understand. Well, I mean, I do understand, but I just don't really see what they gain out of it. I don't by any means support, forcing everyone to get it, because I think that's a dangerous, slope, if you will, by if you start there, then it's just a snowball, I think, with forcing things. And I don't think that's the kind of government we believe in. But, I don't know. I just don't get the anti-vaxxers, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, everybody, that's part of being in the land of freedom,
Yeah.
being in a land of having the ability to choose, right? I think there's going to be that certain percentage of any society that's going to be suspect and doubtful of anything that any authority puts on them. I mean, there's some people that
Yeah.
they get pulled over. I mean, you see it all the time, TikToks or Instagram videos or
YouTube, whatever. Yeah.
YouTube videos that they're taking the police officer to task, and they're sitting there saying, according to the U.S. Constitution, section da 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 da, I have every right to be on this public road. You have no right of detainer, and all. I mean, it's almost sometimes it's an ass whip, but sometimes it's comical to see some of these people just doing everything they can because they don't want to be pulled over by a police officer. They don't want to have to
Yeah.
comply. They don't want to have, if a police officer asks them for identification and they feel like they have every right to be um, controversial or adversarial because they don't want to succumb to any authority whatsoever. So I think you're going to have that no matter what.
No, yeah, no, you're right. I mean, there's just going to be people who disagree for the sake of disagreeing, not because they even believe in what the disagreement is, but just because they want to be different.
Right. They just want to be contrarian no matter what.
Yeah, no matter what. And you could flip the script and then they would be the other way.
For those of our viewers I'm trying to understand what happened to Jay. Apparently he didn't pay his electric bill, so they pulled the plug on him. So right now he's scrambling.
He's trying to
gonna
sell
run
off
down
some
he's trying to
Bitcoin.
sell off some merch. Some Bitcoin too. He's trying to sell off some Bitcoin and some merch so he can raise money and run down to the corner PLS or whatever and pay his electric bill and get it turned back on. So hopefully he'll be joining us back here in a little bit. And I don't understand why he just didn't use his credit card, but for those of you who don't know Jay like we know,
different folks, different strokes,
Yeah, he's a tightwad, man. That dude don't spend money on nothing, man.
Oh my God.
He gets by on so many donations and he thinks he gets by on his good looks, but now RJ, you can't really say anything about that because you're his nephew. I can say it because I'm his brother. In fact, I'm his older brother, so I can talk all the BS about my brother I want. And if he wants to say anything about it, he's gonna have to edit it out. But he ain't here right now, so that ain't gonna happen.
That's too bad this ain't live. Oh man. No, but going back to the Johnson and Johnson vaccine, I think they had a difficult decision to make, right? Like on the one hand, if you don't pause it, then you fuel the anti-vaxxers. Like, oh look,
Right.
if you go get this vaccine, you're gonna have a blood clot. I think one person died, right? So
yeah,
to some extent, it adds fuel to the fire for those who are just so against the vaccine.
well, and I think,
but then at the same time, I mean, it is a legitimate concern, even though
right.
I forget the number of vaccine of the J&J that's been administered, but it was a significant number, and only 6. And I don't mean to diminish that in any way, but it was a significant. Let me see if I can find it, but it's a difficult decision.
Well, and part of that is sometimes you just wonder if it's a specific batch, because I mean, I think no matter how reliable a production process is, there's always that risk that you're going to get a bad batch. And I think that's also something where, the moment you find out that it has strong adverse, outcomes for anybody, you need to get on it as quickly as possible to nip it down, because I mean, you don't want there to be a massive number of people that either get extremely sick or even die because of the reactions they had to the medication.
But I do wonder, like you said, I mean, did we rush for a 1-dose vaccine just because 1 dose is more convenient?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
No, of course, and I think there is something to that. I think there is something that I mean, there's going to be a trade-off, and there's going to be some risk because you're not really giving your son. Some medications take years to develop, years. And what we, it's a miracle really that we have the vaccines that we have, because we asked our basically pharmaceutical companies to start a vaccine for something that they really had little data on, and come up with a cure or something preventative, maybe not a cure, but a preventative, them within a matter of months.
It makes you think how, when the Spanish flu came around, and what was that, the early 20s?
Mm-hmm. I think
how life was, back then, because they didn't have, the technology and any of the resources that we do now. I mean, the pandemic, was worrisome. I don't want to say scary, but worrisome as it was. So I can't imagine, not having not having Dr. Fauci or whoever on TV every day to kind of, inform you what's going on and just keep you updated.
Yeah. So while Jay is not on the podcast, I think we should take this moment to revisit
Take some
Houston.
liberties.
Yeah, take some liberties. So let's talk about Houston. Houston, we love you, great city, but no joke. You guys need to spend some money on your infrastructure.
Yeah.
Some of your roads are pretty rough. But overall, there's some very, very nice parts of that city. One bridge we went up to,
that was cool.
That bridge was cool. It was a little crazy when you're driving up and you see such a steep incline. You're going over the channel and thinking, holy macro, that's it looks like you're going up the side of a mountain at first.
Like
once
a roll,
you're on top of the bridge, it's okay. But I mean, I think the initial perception is, pretty intimidating.
Imagine if it was like a super steep decline.
I know, right?
That would be the more scary part. Is like, oh shit! I hope my brakes got enough tread.
No, more importantly, I hope the brakes on that truck that's behind me.
Behind me, yeah.
The one that's carrying
that too.
The two trailers. I hope he's got good brakes.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think, as much as we Houston and Dallas go back and forth, I'm no Houston lover by any means, but I think there's some similarities to Dallas. Now, obviously, I'm always going to say Dallas is the better city, and right. I'm biased, but I do truly believe that, as unbiased as I can try to be. But Houston had, like when we were out driving, there's pockets that are very similar. Like we said, they had the feel of Ross Avenue,
right,
or Buckner, things like that. I mean, I'm sure the only one of the differences is we're not an hour away from the ocean, so it's not as humid here as it is there,
right?
But
yeah,
I think if we talked about they have a lot of the same stuff. Lucky for them, they have HEB, but they have Fiesta Mart, they have El Rancho, La Michoacana, all the stores that we have here, they pretty much have there, except like I said, they've got HEB and we don't.
Well, that was a quick hit about Houston. Yeah. I guess let's talk about cryptocurrency.
Oh man,
Safe.
What a week.
Safe.
Yeah.
Moon.
Oh, go buy Safe Moon, guys.
Yeah, buy Safe Moon. Definitely buy Safe Moon. I think that one, but please don't invest your life savings in any of these cryptocurrencies. I mean,
and please understand, we are not financial professionals.
Oh yeah. By no means.
So whatever that disclaimer that you're supposed to put out there, that's what we're saying. You turn your mic off, homeboy. You turned your mic off.
I know I did. Hold on a
Oh,
second.
okay. But I another one that obviously is very popular, meme coin, Dogecoin has taken off this week. I think it took off more than anybody anticipated. But it seems like as of today, Saturday, April 17th, 2 p.m., that has come down a little bit, come down to a little bit more realistic price. I think the jump from 7 cents to 40 cents was pretty drastic. But I think 20 cents in that 20 to 30 cents is going to be the new baseline for at least the next week or so. Just my opinion.
At least that's what we hope, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the reason I muted my mic here is I don't want there to be any reverb.
Oh, well, there is some.
Yeah, I know there is because I have my computer up now. And
you're going to switch over?
Well, I can't because the host has to let me in.
I was just about to say, I was like, hold on, wait a minute. You can't.
Yeah, so
I'm gonna
put this on mute.
Yeah.
Hold on a sec.
You better edit this out.
Let's see if that's any better.
No. I think I heard you more times now. I swear I heard you like 4 times.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me see. I guess what I'm going to have to do is I'm just going to have to log out on the computer.
You can't click on, like, when you are on the computer.
Yeah.
There's that cam mic button. You can't, or the mute button. You can't click that.
Let me see. Hold on. Well, no, you can still hear. It's because the speakers on the computer are still on. I'm trying to turn them off. Hold on, let me see.
Okay.
But anyway, keep talking.
It's a little harder to do it with just 2 people.
Oh, yeah. Well, especially since one of us is not running the...
Well, yeah, that too.
This is where we need to be running a commercial for Topo Chico.
For Topo Chico seltzers.
Hey, Cowboys fans.
Oh my gosh.
It's your pal, JJ. Reminding you to drink your Topo Chico.
Oh my gosh, JJ.
Well, I can't use his name, dude. I don't want to.
No, I know. No. At first, I was thinking JJ like as my uncle. And I realized why you said JJ.
Well, that's better. I just went ahead and closed the window for now. I'll just relog back in when he gets back.
So, should we talk about COVID passport or Cowboys?
No, let's wait till he gets back because he's got some hot sports opinions about that. I think really we just talk mainly. Yeah, I mean, let's keep talking a little bit about cryptocurrency because I mean, the whole cryptocurrency phenomenon is, I was slow to invest because I really didn't understand it. And if I'm being very honest, I still don't understand 100% because, unlike stocks, there are no assets really behind these currencies, right? We're just buying based on valuations that other investors have agreed to have on these things. Yeah. Right? There's a marketplace and it's trading and there's money being exchanged and there's people buying and selling. But again, it's not based off any, unlike stocks, there's no
there's no what do you call balance sheet or anything to tie
Right,
it
exactly. Yeah.
to.
So it's
You
hard to
know,
understand how you evaluate what you're buying. And I think the value is just, you're putting faith that, if you buy a Bitcoin, that there's actually something worth value.
yeah, no, I agree with you. And I mean, like you think about it, and it's like the price of Bitcoin is higher than any stock ever has been.
Right.
You know, what stock has ever been at 64,000 for one share? I mean, that's just absurd.
Right.
And I have that same question all the time is, well, you know, where is this price based off of? I mean, who
Mm-hmm.
deems that this is the price of Bitcoin?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that goes into a whole nother conversation of, how cryptocurrency works, the mining and those intricacies.
Right.
I'm not that kind of an expert.
Well, I know, and like you and I were talking about, I do want to eventually learn a little bit more,
Yeah.
particularly about NFTs, non-fungible tokens, because I think that's another market that it's still perplexing to me, because what you're buying digital rights to something that and unlike owning a let's say a painting, right? A painting,
Hmm.
I physically possess that painting, right? And there's
Yeah.
no other painting that's exactly like that painting. So that's what gives the painting the value, is because if it's an artist that is highly collectible, or very well renowned, and are people would love to own it, that's what drives the value of the painting. And I think that I understand that basic principle as it applies to NFTs, but I still don't understand how you protect your. So it's like, okay, I have the true original digital copy. Let's just say, whoever created this Texas flag video waving here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they created it, right? And it's out in the marketplace for anybody to show. Um, and if he has the original file and sells it, let's say I bought it, but I can't prevent anybody else from playing this video. It's not like saying, hey, that's my video, I own it, therefore you have to pay me a royalty every time it's broadcast or something. I mean,
Yeah.
I I don't understand. Maybe
No,
I need to take a class on this.
Unfortunately, I think that's probably best, because I think that's the only way we're gonna understand fully what this stuff is. But I'm with you. But I also would say think about an actual piece of art, right? Like if you have a Picasso, of course the original is worth the most.
Right.
But think about how commercialized some paintings have become. You can go get copies of a painting and hang them.
Sure, but that copy is only worth a fraction. I mean, in some instances, a very, very small fraction of what the original's worth. Someone's still monetizing it. So I mean, it's again, it's like if you went and made a copy of the Mona Lisa, right, and you printed 1,000 copies, right, and you charged $5 per copy. You as the vendor made $5,000 off a piece of original artwork that belongs to somebody else, right?
Yeah.
But yet let's just say I owned the Mona Lisa, I'm not getting any part of that $5. At least I don't think I am.
No, you're not. But that's the thing about these NFTs, right? Is that you can create an NFT to where, let's just say you were to create the online form of the Mona Lisa, right? Whatever it is, whatever the market deems to be the next Mona Lisa, is that you could set it to where if someone I don't know about copies, but at least let's say the person you sold it to decides in 5 years that that piece has doubled in value, and they sell it. Well, you can still get a percentage of that piece, the way that the NFT is coded.
Right.
You can't necessarily do that with a piece of real art. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think there's a lot of stuff we have to still learn about blockchain, cryptocurrency, NFTs. But the future I see for NFTs is not just artwork, but skins in video games are one of the examples they use for NFTs. Like, that's a non-fungible token. Is that
right.
You play a game and you want your character to have a certain costume. That's an NFT.
Right.
Well, I think I read recently that the first marijuana field or the online field or dispensary or something like that was sold, which that's a whole nother conversation, because who the hell is buying digital marijuana? That seems like a dumb thing to buy, but hey, I guess if there's a buyer for it, then
that's right. There's a buyer for it. Sell it. Sell it.
Yeah, exactly. But I think what you're gonna see is, like, my prediction is you're gonna see, what are they called? Designers, the Gucci's, Versace's of the world. They're gonna release limited edition, avatars, things like that. There's a fixed number of them, just like shoes. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it'll be interesting to see who's the first company to do that. But I think at some point what you're gonna see is those, because they know there's that base of people who want to be, I have one of 20, Gucci skins or whatever it may be, there's always that market for those people who,
right.
I'm one of only 20 people to ever own this. And it's like, okay, I mean, you could also be one of 20 people to only ever own a piece of my trash, but I'm just saying. Like, what if I cut up a piece of my trash bag and sold it, and 1,000 people came and bought it, bid up the price on it? I don't know. That's just how I just, maybe because I don't fully understand it, that's why I'm using that analogy. But
right,
I just don't. Going back to my example a couple minutes ago, I don't understand the purpose of buying digital marijuana. What does it do for you?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I mean, how do you? I mean, how do you recapture your value there?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, well, I shouldn't say. I mean, there's always people buying and selling all types of commodities. It's just like when you and I and Faison were sitting down talking, and I was using that table as an example, right? The table is still a table, right?
Yeah.
No matter what, it's still a table, and it really produces nothing. It has a certain utility to it, because I mean, we can use it to put stuff on, we can use it as decoration, all sorts of things. But the real value of that table is really derived by you, me, and Faison in my example, right? We're the market. And, one of us owns it, the other two want it. It becomes a conversation of, well, who wants it more? And that's what really determines the value, because if to me that table's worth $50, and that same table to you is worth 100, and that same table is worth 200 to the other person, well, provided I'm willing to sell it, then that table's worth now $200, and that cycle continues to go and go and go. Obviously, it's a very simplistic model that we talked about, but I mean, you add in a few other market conditions, a few other things, like, for example, the type of wood that was used to make that table. I mean, if it was a very rare type of wood, then again, that has an impact on the valuation. But all of that still boils down to the value is derived by how much any one of us wants it, and how much we're willing to give up to own it, right?
Yeah. No, I agree with you, and I think the important thing you said is the utility of it. Now, um, right, that table might have been my great grandmother, so that may be why I want it, right?
Right.
Um, and so that's where the value is for me. But at the end of the day, it's still, I can still put a book on it. I can still put my drink on it. You know, whatever it is, it still has a utility.
Mm-hmm.
What utility does digital marijuana have? You know what I mean? That, like, even going back to one that's very popular right now is the NBA Top Shot, right? You can go buy a highlight from a game of your
Right.
favorite player.
Right.
And while I get it's like a card in some sense,
Mm-hmm.
but the difference is, like, okay, cards, for example, if I get a rookie, Luka Doncic, um, what are they? Prism A, I think is what the top class is, something like that.
Uh-huh.
Prism 10, I think. That's the top notch card. That card is worth, shoot, I think at least six figures, maybe even six figures today. But if he's my favorite player, that whatever the market value for it is might be regardless, because I want to have that card of my favorite player.
Right.
Whereas a clip online, you know, like the shot he made the other day, the floater, that's a
Yeah.
once in a lifetime shot, right? But I can,
Sure.
if I go buy it, I guess how do we deem the value? Because I can go watch that same clip on YouTube for the next 10 days if I wanted to. So
Right.
I don't really get, and at the end of the day, the NBA can air it as many times as they want, because in reality, they really are the ones who owns the right to that clip.
Sure. No, and I agree with you. I mean, more importantly, not only can you watch it for the next few days, you can record it,
Mm-hmm.
right? You could record it.
Exactly.
And so long as you're not publicly broadcasting it
Yeah.
and or trying to derive any value from it, I
Just
mean,
using it for my own
yeah,
enjoyment.
you could watch it for every day for the rest of your life if you wanted.
Exactly. And I guess that's where, you know, I think we need to do some research, because, like I said, it's different with the card, because those, you know, rookie top notch cards, there's only a finite of those printed.
Right.
I can't go reproduce it. You know, I mean, I'm sure I could if I invested the time and resources to become, you know, a, what are they called? Forfeiter or forger. If I wanted to become someone who, you know, forges documents, sure, I'm sure if I had enough time and resources, I could figure it out. But still, the fact remains, there's still only a finite amount of those.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I can go watch this, like we said, I can go watch this clip on YouTube. So it's just, I don't know. I think we're gonna have to educate ourselves more on what all this means.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I agree with you. I mean, it's not it's not something that's easily understandable, but what is understandable is that people are making money off of it. People are creating
Yeah, of
value.
course. You know, I think it's easy to look at all these cryptocurrencies and say, you know, to have the questions that we had, and, you know, for some of the more traditional financial people on Wall Street to be like, you know, this is dumb, or, you know, those kinds of theories about it. But I mean, if you put $1,000 into it, or whatever your level of, you know, comfort you're willing to lose, then why not take a chance on it to some extent? You know, if you're willing
No.
to lose that, if you know you can afford to lose that money and you're willing to, why not? Because I mean, the upside, at least on Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Ethereum, has been there so far.
Yeah, that's
So
another thing, like Ethereum, because it's some people that are very high net worth individuals. You talked about Elon Musk earlier.
yeah,
I think it was you that told me that even Mark Cuban
yeah, you
is
can buy
now.
Mavericks merch with
Yeah,
Dogecoin.
yeah. Well, I thought, but didn't he also make a significant investment in Ethereum? Or was I wrong about that?
I don't know if he did in Ethereum. I know he has in Dogecoin.
Yeah.
I think he's in Bitcoin too. I'm not sure if he's in Ethereum. I wouldn't surprise me. You know,
Yeah.
but the fact that you can go buy Mavericks merch with Dogecoin it's just crazy. And the crazy part of it is we're
Yeah.
only at the tip of the iceberg. You know, this you can't buy Dogecoin on Coinbase yet. Other retailers haven't started accepting it, which I mean, if it has any kind of increase the way Bitcoin did, there will come a point where you can buy certain things with Dogecoin.
Yeah. Well, it says, yeah, I found the article, but there's an article in which Mark Cuban on his own cryptocurrency. I own a lot of Ethereum because I think it's the closest thing to a true currency. And that was as of April 2nd of this. Yeah.
Of this year, yeah. So
this year,
about 15 days ago, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's no denying that these cryptocurrencies are here, right? And you know, if you have the ability, again, as RJ said, our disclaimer: we're not financial advisors in any way, but
No.
you know, I know both you and I, and I know Jay is invested in it. I'm sure. Again, I don't know why he just didn't transfer a few Bitcoin over to the electric company and get that power turned back on. But you know, maybe he's greedy like that. Maybe he don't want to let the Bitcoin go because it's like at 62,000 per Bitcoin. He's trying to ride it out till it gets up to 100K.
Well, the other thing is that the Mavericks. So, like I said, you can buy merch with Dogecoin. They're not selling any of the Dogecoin that they receive. They are going to hold on. Yeah, they're going to hold on to it.
Well, that makes a ton of sense because I mean, if you think about it, let's say Mark Cuban sold a Luka jersey for Dogecoin was trading at like 6 cents about a week ago, right? More or less.
Yeah.
So, you know, the dollar equivalent of a jersey is probably what, $150, right? So, let's do some
I'll
simple
let you
math
do the math on that
yeah,
one.
let's do some math. So $150 divided by 0.06 cents per. So that's essentially 2,500 Dogecoin that you need to buy that jersey. Now,
I was not far off. I was going to say 3,000.
Yeah. So at that 2,500, here's an example. I mean, you take that 2,500 Dogecoin that he would have accepted in exchange for that jersey as of yesterday. Oh, let's say around what, noonish? No, it was later in the afternoon, wasn't it? Where the Dogecoin got up to 47 cents.
Yeah,
right?
That was, I think, later in the afternoon. Yeah.
Yeah. Had Mark Cuban timed it right and sold that Dogecoin at 47 cents, he would have made $1,175.
Looks like
they're like everybody just well, anyway, Elon Musk has a plan for Dogecoin. He's trying to get it. He's trying to drive it to $1 overall by, get this, 420. That's his little inside joke.
Oh Lord.
Because
I did see a post. It wasn't from him. It was just like a little poster that said Dogecoin 420 day. Man, I don't know. We're just 3 days away. I don't know that we're gonna hit $1 in 3 days.
But hell, if they can drive the price up to, wherever they're gonna get it to, hey, somebody's gonna stand to make a lot of money on it if they try to take Dogecoin the route that they try to take. What do you call?
Bitcoin.
Yeah, no, not Bitcoin, but
you're back.
yeah.
Which other one? Ethereum.
GameStop.
Oh yeah. Well, that's literally what Dogecoin is. Dogecoin was started as a joke years ago. And so the same people who have always really, in my mind, been behind Dogecoin are the GameStop people.
Yeah.
Because I was seeing, oh Lord, get off one of them, homeboy. But let me get your take on this.
He likes the two camera version.
This is one thing we were talking about while you were gone is, I don't know if you've heard, well, NFTs. One thing we were talking about is NFTs.
Right.
And so I'm sure you know there's NBA Top Shot where you can go buy, the highlights from a game. Well, the difference is, right, there's a finite number of cards that are printed. Right. Whereas this highlight that you might go buy, I can go watch that highlight on YouTube all day.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so where I was going
NFTs are going to be a fad. NFT like that, and NBA Top Shot, that's a fad, dude. That's not sustainable. Yeah.
Well, we don't know that, bro. I mean, the whole cryptocurrency movement, I would have said was a fad, but it's here to stay. But where I was going earlier in the example before I dropped off, unfortunately, is that had Mark Cuban sold that Luka jersey again for the 2,500 Dogecoin, he would have made $1,175 had he sold that same Dogecoin when it was at like 47 cents. Now, again, that's a very
big if.
Well, that's right. That's a big if. I mean, everything is about timing, right? That's when you make your money. But theoretically, he could have made almost 10 times the amount that he would have sold that jersey for, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if he, even if he'd have tripled his money, right? He just said, hey, I set a sell price. If Dogecoin hits, 20 cents, sell it. That same Dogecoin he would have made off of selling the jersey, he would have tripled the money.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, go ahead, RJ.
I was going to say, I'm trying to confirm this. Unfortunately, my phone's acting up. But I think he also said he's not going to change the prices on the merch too. So, like, if they set it at, 2,500 Dogecoin, it's not going to change if Dogecoin goes up. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I don't know. I'm biased again. I think Mark Cuban's one of the best.
Make sense because if you owned Dogecoin, right, and Dogecoin was at 20. Let's say Dogecoin's trading at currently at 27 cents. And if he left the Dogecoin at 2,500 for that jersey, well, then you'd be paying almost $450 for that jersey.
Oh, hold on. Maybe that's not right then. Let me see. Hold on.
Why would you do that? Yeah. Why would you buy the jersey at that point? Hell, for enough Dogecoin, I'd just buy Luka.
Oh my God.
Well, but the thing about all these cryptocurrencies in my mind versus NFTs, the Top Shot, NBA Top Shot. The reason why I say that's going to be a fad is because it's going to go the way of baseball cards, because baseball cards, they're cyclical. There's times of any decade where baseball cards are worth more than they were 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 10 years ago. I mean, when you look at what Griffey Jr. rookie cards were going for at the height of, his power, when they were, selling for $1,000 a pop. Well, now you can go get a Ken Griffey rookie card for $100.
No, I agree with you, bro. Again, the reality is that the Griffey, well, any object, any material thing, any tangible thing, certainly, is only going to have the value for
what people are willing to pay for it.
Exactly. and as you know, while you were gone, I was glad to see. Hold on, just so you know, we did divulge to the viewers that your power got cut off because you didn't pay your electric bill. And
Well, what
did
happened was I paid it in Dogecoin. It just wasn't enough.
Damn. Well, anyway, where I was going with that is, while you were gone, one of the examples I threw out was a table. Again, the three of us have understand a table's utility.
Mm-hmm.
We can also understand a table's design, and let's just say attractiveness, because let's say it's a very high quality, beautiful table, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I have a value, you have a value, RJ has a value, but the reality is it's still just a table,
right?
Whatever that. And so the value is really derived by what the three of us collectively determine what it's worth, right? Because if I own it, I felt like it's worth $50, but you want to buy it from me for 100. RJ wants to buy it from me for 200. Well, then I would say my table's worth $200 because RJ represents the highest value of that, right?
Well, being in real estate, I would have thought you would have went with that, example more, because there's houses out there that are on the market that are being way overpriced in their value because of the scarcity of houses.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard tales of people bidding anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000 over asking on a house because there's no houses to be found.
And that is without actually having physically seen the house. They buy it because of the video.
Yeah, and they're waiving all their contingencies. They're giving up appraisals. They're giving up valuations and stuff like that just because they're so desperate to get the house. We put our house search on the back burner just because I'm not going to overpay for a house just because I want to get a house.
And it doesn't help that the price of lumber is skyrocketing right now.
Oh yeah,
well, the price of lumber is skyrocketing because of the housing shortage.
Yeah, exactly.
Because more and more houses are being ordered, and they're having lumber. Trying to get lumber to build them, so that causes the price of lumber to go up. And
well, Jay, we know you had to dip out for a little bit, but we're coming up on a little bit time. So one more topic we wanted to talk about before we close this episode out was the virus passport,
vaccine passport,
vaccine passport,
virus passport.
Yeah, the vaccine passport, because we know you had some hot sports opinions.
Yeah, some hot opinions.
Okay, RJ, let's get because I know you had something to say about this, and I'm gonna give you my rebuttal here in just a minute.
Okay, so let me I guess start with the fact that I'm for it, but at a limited, I don't mean for it indefinitely. I think it's a program that you set a time frame on. I think at most a year, and then we just take it from there, because I do think it's a slippery slope. It can become more than it was intentionally meant to be. But I think we're nowhere near out of this pandemic, and I'm not for forcing anybody to take the vaccine if they don't want to. But I do think that if you want to go to certain things, concerts, certain events, then you need to be vaccinated. And if you don't want to get vaccinated, that's fine, but you shouldn't be able to go. Now, I get it's going to be hard to enforce in terms of, traveling, because, I can drive to Louisiana, and I think it'd be a waste of money to have checkpoints everywhere. But I think if you're going to fly, I think airports should require, proof of vaccination. And that's kind of where, I think that's as detailed as I've really thought it through.
And this is where I'm gonna agree to disagree.
Okay.
Because here's the deal. If you're flying into another country, if I'm flying to Italy, and Italy says to me, hey, you got to have some kind of proof of vaccination to get into our country, that's one thing. Okay, I get that because Italy is their own sovereign country. They can do what they want to do, right? But if I'm in America and I want to fly from Dallas, Texas to Denver, Colorado, I refuse for Denver, Colorado to say, hey, I need you to show me a passport to show you're vaccinated. First of all, that's in violation. Hold on, before you get started. That's in violation of my HIPAA laws for me having to show my medical records to anybody that I don't want to show them to. And secondly, I get it, man. Look, I'm like you, RJ. I got the vaccination, and I highly encourage everybody else to go get it. And like you, I don't want to sit here and tell anybody you have to go get it. If you don't want to go get it, don't go get it. And
who says you have the God-given right to fly, though?
Oh,
who says that I don't?
No, but I'm just saying if
Flying isn't a right.
if an
Flying
air
isn't a
carrier
right. It's a
tells you
privilege.
we're not going to let you get on our plane unless you show us that you're vaccinated,
They
that's
have the
their
right to do that.
Tell you, they can say, "Hey,
no. Hold on. There's a difference between. Hold on. No. There's a difference between public transportation, right, and going to a grocery store. It's two different deals, dude. Because if I have to fly to Colorado for a job,
You don't.
Right?
you don't have
You can
to fly
drive
to
there.
Colorado."
There's other avenues for you to get there.
there are. We can look. It's all semantics.
Public
dude.
transportation.
It
I
is.
didn't know there was such thing as a dark plane.
No, but
No
well,
kidding.
you know what I mean by public transportation is the fact that it's open to the public, right?
It's funded by the public too.
Yeah, but you still have to pay for guard.
But that's not what airport. That's not what airlines are.
Okay,
Airlines
well,
are private.
transportation in general, period.
Right.
You know, I may not have a God-given right to fly, but we don't have God. I mean, really, honestly, RJ, what are your God-given rights? The right to health, the right to a life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those are your God-given rights. Nothing else is a God-given right. Nothing else, right? But when you have such a, how can I put this, man? It becomes part of life to be able to do those things, and I don't think that you can pick and choose selectively for every single person for something as big as air travel. Now, going to a grocery store, to me, that's a totally different beast. I don't know. Maybe that's just my weird view about it, but I don't think I should have to tell anybody whether I'm vaccinated or not. You know, that's your choice to tell somebody if you're vaccinated or not. That's not, there should be nobody to sit here and tell me, well, you have to prove to me that you're vaccinated to do it.
Well,
you know?
I think at the very least, if you want to go to a concert, if you want to go to Six Flags, the only people who should be allowed to do those things at the present time is vaccinated people. Because
why?
Because they've been vaccinated.
No, hold on. But if you're vaccinated, your dad got vaccinated, your wife got vaccinated, everyone around you is vaccinated, and you walk around one person who's not vaccinated, who's taking the risk? The person who's not vaccinated, right?
In theory, yes, but
theory.
you can
but
hold
okay.
on. You can still get the.
But hold on. But if you're my whole thing is this: I'm vaccinated. My wife is vaccinated. My family's vaccinated. I know my family's protected because we went and got ourselves protected in that, right? So if I go to a grocery store and I'm standing next to somebody who's not vaccinated, right? Who is taking all the risk in that scenario? Them. Yes, I can still carry, but you know what? I'm vaccinated against it. It's the same thing with the flu, dude.
Let me hold on. Let me offer a counterpoint. Let me offer a counterpoint. So replace vaccinated with the word infected. So if you're vaccinated, but you decide to go to a place where everybody in there is infected, right? Infected with coronavirus, right? And you choose to go in, so you're the one that's taking the risk, right?
Exactly.
Not them.
Exactly.
Right?
Because I chose to walk into that facility, even though I'm vaccinated, knowing that other people are infected. That was my choice, right? Is it or is it not?
Sure, but
Well, in that scenario, I'm taking the risk.
I
And
agree
they know
with you. Right. All right. But let's go back to the example of the airplane, right? You're a vaccinated person. You deserve the right to travel safely, right?
Right.
And so the airplane is saying, well, in order for us to provide that safety to you, Mr. Vaccinated person, as our customer and someone who's willing to pay for that ticket, we're going to also take the extra measure of making sure that everybody else on that plane with you is also vaccinated, right? We're a private company. Don't we have the right to therefore say, if you want to fly on our planes, you need to show us proof of vaccination. Otherwise, you're more than welcome to fly on anybody else's planes. Oh, guess what? All the other airplanes are going to say the same thing because they don't want customers who are vaccinated to say, well, I'm never flying that plane on that airline because they allow unvaccinated people on there. So I'm just going to go with the one that has vaccination. So that's capitalism. That's the market. That's the private company choosing to do business with the people they want to do business with. Right.
And as far as your point on the flu, we've developed antibodies and herd immunity for the most part to the flu. Now there's always different variants, but coronavirus is still fairly new and it's
mutating.
Yeah, and it's mutating quickly.
But it has
now they're talking about we're going to need a third vaccine,
a booster, just like you get with the flu shot every year. But my point is this: the coronavirus, look, don't get me wrong, man. I don't want to be painted as somebody who's a non-believer in the coronavirus because I believe that it's real. Mm-hmm. But it does have a lower kill rate than the flu does worldwide. Okay. Now, we still can do business with people who don't get a flu vaccine because they choose not to get a flu vaccine. There's plenty of people out there who don't get a flu vaccine every year because they choose not to. Mm-hmm. But yet, we still do business with those people. Why? How is this any different?
Because I said, it's
a harder question to answer.
We've already developed antibodies and herd immunity.
But the more and more people the more and more people who choose to get vaccinated, you're going to start to develop that that herd immunity with the coronavirus as well. Are you not? Yes or no?
Yeah, and that's why I said. I put when I first mentioned my point, I said there's a time frame on it.
But here's the problem, though, RJ. When you give up that right away and say, okay, well, we're only going to do it for a certain amount of time frame, you know as well as I do that that's a very slippery slope for the government to say, okay, well, you gave it up for the first year. What's this? Why can't you give it up for another year and another year and another year? And before you know it, it becomes common practice.
Well, but if that were. Here's the only flaw that I have with your argument is we gave up the freedom to go out into public dining and restrooms and everything because the government mandated a shutdown. Right. And yet here we are less than a year later and we're back open for the most part, just about anywhere. So, I mean, I think when you say it's a slippery slope, but
that open is beating down party lines, dude. In Texas, we're open because we have a Republican governor. But when you look at all the other states that haven't opened because they have Democratic governors, it now becomes a political fight. Who's right and who's wrong? Democrats or the Republicans? Now, if we were living in Colorado, you'd still be shut down. Why? Because your governor's Democrat and he thinks that you should still be shut down. You know, you're again moving that whole thing into a whole political arena. You know, who's to say because the Democrats in charge of the country now say, well, the whole 4 years that we're going to be in power, or 8 years, however long we're going to be here, you're going to have this this coronavirus passport, vaccine passport. Where does it stop? Where do you stop it and say, hey, you can no longer tell me that I have to do this?
Do people still drive without driver's licenses?
Absolutely, they do.
Do people drive with suspended driver's licenses?
Absolutely, they do.
Or revoked driver's licenses?
Absolutely, they do.
Do you believe those people should have a right to drive?
I mean,
yes or no?
If it's not hurting anybody, why not? If somebody has to go to the grocery store And the only way for them to get there
Hold
is
on.
in a car, and they have a suspended license. Are they not taking all the risk and doing it themselves?
What if that person killed your wife?
Then that person needs to pay the consequences of it. Yes, I agree. But
this is why we need regulation in whatever capacity, whether it's driver's license. This is why we can't just, yes, I support freedoms, but this is why we also need some government regulation, because we can't just be letting people run like outlaws at the same time. This is why we need to have a regulated
because but you know the only thing I see, bro, is I understand. I'm just more than anything trying to throw other examples, because the reality is this. I mean, a drunk person can drive, right, and you know the reality is, well, he needed the drunk guy needed to go get food. You know, the high guy, the guy who's tripped out on meth or whatever, he needs to go get food too. But he has a suspended driver's license and said, well, according to Jay's rationale, I have a right to go get bread just like so-and-so does. That guy over there who, pays his taxes and lives by all the rules and does everything the way he's supposed to. I have that same equal right to go get the bread. I got a suspended driver's license. I'm going to go get bread too. Oh, and I ran over and killed somebody. That's my bad.
And going back to what we were originally talking about, I'm not saying you have to be vaccinated to go get groceries, to go, have the basic things to live. But if you want to do the fun things like go to concerts, go to Cowboys games, then yes, I believe that you should be vaccinated, because those are choices. Those are not rights.
But the minute that you say that you have to have a passport to do one thing and not another, then there's your slippery slope, because then they're going to say, well, if you have to have a passport to go to a Cowboy game, how come you don't have to have a passport to go get groceries? You're still in a public place, are you not?
Yeah, but bro, here's I think
you can't deprive people of food.
Throw another distinction at you. It's like, you have to have a driver's license to drive a car, but you don't have to have a driver's license to get on a bus, or the driver's license to take a taxi, or a driver's license to take an Uber, or a driver's license to ride a bicycle. You don't have to have a driver's license for that. And yet those are other ways for you to get the same objective achieved from point A to point B. Right. And all I'm saying, and to some degree, I hear what you're saying. And I do agree. There's got to be, it's not an easy answer. But what I'm saying is, the reason we have, I don't know, some of these things that we're trying to throw out is because at the end of the day, we're trying to protect the greater good, right? Yeah. We're never going to protect 100% of anybody in anything we do. Because you're no matter what law, what rule, what regulation you put in place, people are still going to do what they want to do for the most part. But there has to be a line to which you can at least establish some consequences if they choose to not play by that rule. For example, some of these stores were requiring you to have masks.
Yeah, I was just about to say, this is the mask debate on a whole nother level.
Well, it is. Yeah. And that it truly is. It truly is. But the trade-off is this. Again, it's an inconvenience in certain ways. It's probably something where we're never going to make 100% of the people happy. You're never going to protect 100% of the people, right? You have regulations on gun ownership. And yet how many people get killed by guns that are illegally obtained anyway?
And going back to driving, you're supposed to get an inspection and a registration every year. How many shops in Dallas can you go to and get a fake inspection to get your registration for?
Well, but my whole
many do you know?
My whole thing is, and I've stated it here on the show, is that look, I'm going to wear my mask. I'm going to continue to wear my mask. That's my personal choice. But I'm also not going to be one of these guys that's going to, if Jeff wants to walk into HEB without a mask, that's on him. I have my mask on. I know I'm protected from me. If he gets the coronavirus because he chooses not to wear a mask, that's his problem, not mine.
But here, let me ask you this question. Let me ask it this way. Well, what if Jeff knew he had the coronavirus when he walked in to begin with? He knew
and he coughed
had
on the fruit that you bought.
Yeah, exactly. He walked in 5 minutes before you did, right?
Mhm.
He knew he had it, so he made the conscientious decision to go out in the public while infected. He goes, just like RJ said, he goes by the fruit. He all over the apples. Jay walks in.
Let me ask you a question.
Hold on. Let me finish my example. Let me finish my example. Jay walks in 5 minutes later, right? He goes to the apples because he wants an apple. He grabs an apple and he puts it in his cart, right? Now, the infection could possibly be on your hand. It's probably still on the apple. It might be on any number of things that you touch, because let's just say that virus is still active, and you pick up a cereal box, you look at it, you decide you don't want to buy it, you put it back down. There's infection on that box, but you walk away. No one can really visibly see where that infection is, right?
Yeah.
And so you do everything by the rules, right? You go in with a mask, you stay socially distanced, and you walk out of there, and you get home, you get to your car. Let's just say you accidentally forgot to sanitize the moment you got back in your car. You didn't do it the exact second you got in your car. You got the keys, you turn the keys in your car, and then you just happen to scratch your face, and then you remember, oh, let me sanitize. Well, boom, you might have already been infected. What, if any, consequences should Jeff face because he knowingly walked into that store while he was infected?
Let me ask you a question. How many times have you gone out in public with a cold? Honestly.
I mean, I can't answer.
Have you done it? Yes or no?
Have I done it before? Absolutely. Yeah. Everybody has.
Okay. What's the speed limit on the highway by your house?
Oh, 70.
How many times have you gone faster than that speed limit?
No, absolutely.
You knowingly do it every day. So, I mean, the bottom line is this, man. Look, you know,
okay, but here's the difference.
Hold on.
Here's the difference.
No, I'll let you talk. Hold on. Calm down now. My turn. So you knowingly do things every day that you know could have consequences for other people. You have a cold, you're sneezing, you might sneeze on your hand without washing your hand, but you walk into a public place and you grab a doorknob, knowing that somebody who may be immunocompromised may walk in behind you and grab that same doorknob and catch your cold that for you means nothing, but for them means life and death. Or you're running late for a meeting, you jump on the highway, you start doing 80, 85 instead of the 70 that it says there, knowing that somebody may jump into your lane going slower than you are and it may take them out. But you know what? Who was the one at fault? You, because you were speeding, right?
Mm-hmm.
We knowingly do things every day that can negatively affect somebody else. Everybody does it. So, to me, in my mind, it's not, if I don't know, man, I feel like somewhere there has to be a line to where somebody can tell me what I can and can't do, and what I should not have to walk into a grocery store and tell everybody, hey, I'm vaccinated. If I have my mask on and I'm protecting myself and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do because I know what I'm doing, what I'm supposed to do to not affect anybody else, then everybody else can go on about their lives. I don't care about everybody else. I care about Jay. Right? Yes or no? I mean, that's just the bottom line. We all think about ourselves first among everything else. We can sit here and say, well, we're thinking about the greater good, but RJ thinks about RJ before anybody else, and Roland thinks about Roland before anybody else. That's human physiology, right?
So why don't we just make cocaine and all the drugs legal then? I mean, it's everybody's choice. It's everybody's choice, man. I mean, it's the same thing. What does it matter to you if I want to go do coke all day? What does that?
Hey, if you want to go do coke all day, RJ, go do it, man. That's your
But here's the difference, RJ. Jay, here's the one thing that I'm saying. Even going back to your example about speeding and all this stuff, you're right. But the consequence is, if I get caught, I'm going to get a ticket, right? And if I get caught enough times, I might even get my license suspended. I might even go to jail. I might lose my freedom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you talk about going out with a cold and someone who's got an autoimmune deficiency, well, there's a greater than zero possibility that person who knows that they've got an autoimmune deficiency is going to take extra precautions because they know they have because they know even the slightest germ can kill them. So you're talking about a slightly different thing. You don't know what the coronavirus may or may not do to you or someone that you come in contact with. Because
it's killed old people, it's killed young people, it's killed healthy people, it's killed obese people. There's no rhyme or rhythm.
Right.
And it still has a higher survival rate than the flu.
Yes. You know, I mean, that's the one data point that I really can't argue because I don't know how to answer that.
I don't either. And again, you know, I just don't want to be painted as the guy who thinks that the coronavirus is fake and all this other stuff, because I know it's not. It's affected people in my life. I've had 2 coworkers die from it. You know, but again, where is the line to be drawn to say, hey, you know, RJ, you talk about God-given rights. Where do my God-given rights end and your God-given rights begin? That's a bigger overall argument for everything when it comes to gun rights, when it comes to the right for people to drive, when it comes for the right people to do their own drugs, you know, things like that. Where do my rights end and your rights begin?
I can't answer that. I don't think anybody can answer that because when you think about it, government is not mentioned. Government is a man-created thing. It's not something God put in place. It's not something God created. It's something we came up with. So,
well, and I think the reality is no matter what, that to your point about we always put ourselves first. For the most part, I agree with that in general. However, I also would argue that there are enough of us that put other people first. Roland's not the first person I think of when I wake up in the morning. I think of my wife. I think of my daughters. I think of my sons. And so Roland might be the 5th or 6th person that I think of, you know? Yeah. So we obviously have the capacity to think of others first before ourselves. And I do think that we should all have a collective desire to live in a world that's safe and respectful, and you know, and I may be talking to at a level, you know, that's unrealistic, right? Because for every person that is like that, there is a person that they only think about themselves. We all know people like that are only they don't consider anybody else but themselves and what their solitary happiness is. Right.
Well, you know, when I said that, I didn't mean that in a sense that you only think about yourself and nobody else's feelings. We all do. I know that when you wake up in the morning, you have other things you have to worry about. You're right. You have to worry about your wife. You have to worry about your daughter. You had to worry about your boys, but your boys are grown. I have to worry about my wife and I have to worry about, you know, her family that lives with us and things like that. But we all do things based on how we feel about doing them. Now, when it comes to big things, you know that you have to get up and go to work every day because you have to support your family. I get that. But in terms of thinking about yourself, there's times when there's things you don't want to do that you don't do them. When your wife and daughter say, hey, let's go out to eat. And you feel like, I don't really feel like it. Let's just cook something at home. And you cook something at home. We all think about ourselves first in terms of everything. And you'll never get me to believe otherwise. But just because you don't act upon those feelings about yourself first doesn't mean anything. Maybe it makes people better people when they act and do things for other people before themselves. But that doesn't mean you don't think about yourself first. Because how many times have you done things for your wife and daughter? You're like, damn, I really don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway because you thought about yourself first there. You're like, man, I don't want to do it. But you still went ahead and did it because your wife and daughter needed you to do it or wanted you to do it. And you put their needs before yours. See or no?
Yeah. Of course.
Physiologically, bro, there's no way you'll never get me to believe that we don't think about ourselves first with every decision that we make. We do. But how we choose to act upon those decisions is what defines us as people. And, you know, you choose to act upon it, your wife's and your daughter's needs before yours. And I get that, but you thought about yourself first. I guarantee it.
No,
You know,
not all the time.
I don't know,
That's
man.
where I disagree with you.
Yeah. And that's another point. We'll just have to agree to disagree. You have your belief. I have mine. That's just, you know, that's what I believe.
Well,
But
boys,
it's another discussion for another day. There's a lot of discussion there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of leeway there.
yeah, I mean, I don't know that there's a perfect answer.
There's
Um,
not. There really isn't, man.
You know, these are the questions of life, if you will. But with that, we just want to thank you all for being locked in with the Now That You Mention It podcast. The three of us know that time is the most valuable asset that we all have. And we really enjoy that you give us a piece of that time. And whether it's only 5 of you or hopefully one day 5 million of you, we appreciate you all taking the time to listen to us argue and, you know, banter. And if you don't mind, we just want a few more seconds of your feedback. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Podbean, or Google Podcasts, please follow, turn on notifications, and leave us a rating and review. If you're dialed in visually via YouTube, please like, subscribe, and click the bell to get notified so that whenever we drop new content, you'll be one of the first to know. Go find us on Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, TikTok, and Twitter by typing in the Now That You Mention It podcast and hitting that follow button. And if you just want to make it easier on yourself, you can go to nowthatyoumentionitit.org. All those links will be on there. You can just click it and it'll take you there. And please make sure to check out our merch from, who is it? 3 Dog? 3 Dog
Three Dog Apparel. Our friends over at 3 Dog Apparel.
Go buy you a hat, polo, whatever it is, and, you know, give us a little support. And with that
Thank you
said,
so much.
enjoy the rest of your weekend or week. And
Buy Safe Moon.
Yeah, buy Safe Moon and
Up
hope that you write
65%.
hope that you write another great chapter in your book of life. And last but certainly not least, a big thank you to Jesse P, because we couldn't do it without you.
Amen. All right, boys.
Bye,
Talk to y'all later.
boys.